Aggressive, and we say this often. The Dodgers go out and get a Mookie Betts. The Lakers go out and get Anthony Davis. We've seen a lot of that in Los Angeles where aggressive wins. USC for years wasn't aggressive. They were passive. They kept the same coaching staff, and now it's just an average football program that should be great. Go for it. Go big. And I got to give the Arizona Cardinals credit. And Steve Keim, their general manager. They drafted a quarterback, Josh Rosen, and they immediately identified, hey, we don't think it's special enough in this division to win. And they acknowledged we're going to redraft quarterback. Whoa. GMs don't do that. That never happens. Steve Keim, the GM of Arizona, you watch Arizona play, that they have an unbelievable talent at quarterback. But for that to happen, they had to acknowledge, we missed last year. It happens. 50% of quarterbacks don't work. Man up and just admit, we missed. Arizona did. They may be the most spectacularly fun team to watch in the entire league, and that includes Kansas City. So Miami has done a lot right. Chris Greer, the GM, sharp. Brian Flores, smart. Last year was a great quarterback class, and they chose a wide receiver. Folks, there's 25 to 30 wide receivers a year in this draft that come into this league and play. At 30 a year, more than ever. California, high school football in California, there's 40 Division I wide receivers. There's about 3 big-time quarterbacks. You can get a receiver anywhere. And they stuck with Tua. And they stuck with Tua knowing in their division they would have to face for the next 10 years Josh Allen 20 times minimum. Bigger, stronger, athletic, agile, huge arm. But they had just drafted Tua, and they could not acknowledge, in a great quarterback class, at a position that's 50-50, if you can get one good quarterback a class, a great one a class. And they stuck with wide receiver, and they stuck with Tua. And Brian Flores knew, I can't beat him. Buffalo's beaten Miami 6 straight times. Josh Allen, as smart as Brian Flores is, and he's a terrific coach, and he may be the second best defensive coach in the league. He can't stop Josh Allen. The last 5 times Josh Allen has faced Brian Flores, he scores 38 a game, 14 TD2 picks, passer rating at 115. Brian Flores can't stop him. Brian Flores knows when I face him, if I stick with Tua for the next 10 years, I will be at a massive size, arm, athletic ability deficit 20 out of 20 times. But they just drafted a quarterback. In a great quarterback class. We're going to go wide receiver. And I'm not backseat driver here. I said it before the class. I said, they got to draft another quarterback. They're going to be too good. They'll never get you. First of all, you're going to have another quarterback class this good? It was like a unique. Next year's quarterback class is one guy everybody acknowledges is a star, Spencer Rattler. And I got to be honest with you. There's a lot to clean up there. A lot. And all I'm saying is, now where's Miami? What are they? Because they don't have anything close to Josh Allen. And Tua's hurt again. Not his fault. Nobody's saying it's his fault. But he had an injury history. And he's small. And he's marginally athletic. There's not, and everybody knew it. And we can't stop Josh Allen. And pride before the fall. Sometimes... And I know guys don't go to Twitter for 5 minutes. Guys can't admit they're wrong. But sometimes the most brilliant decision is admitting my previous decision was completely off base. You're not beating Buffalo for a decade unless you get that quarterback position more athletic, bigger, stronger, faster. You're not beating them because Brian Flores now can't even, it doesn't matter. They can't stop Josh Allen. By the way, not many can. So I want to shift to this. I watched the Colts-Ram game in its entirety, and it was a go-either-way game. Rams didn't play particularly well. Colts played better than last week, but it's the NFL. It's a go-either-way game with 4 minutes left. So Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold, and Carson Wentz can all be sort of play extenders. They're super athletic. They're bigger guys. They extend plays. It worked in high school. It worked in college, and it can work in the NFL. But I've watched. It's reckless. Ideally, you don't want your quarterback to be reckless, but there's such an upside with Wentz and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But I have watched Andy Reid coach the reckless out of Mahomes. Brian Daboll coach some of the reckless out of Josh Allen. I'm watching Matt Rule coach a lot of the reckless out of Sam Darnold. I watched Carson Wentz yesterday. I'm not sure he can do it. And I've said before, there's two things I'm not sure you can coach guys into or out of. Indifference. Some guys just don't love the sport. Ben Simmons likes basketball. He doesn't love it like Kobe or MJ. He likes it. And the other one is reckless. If you grow up in the Dakotas, you hunt, you fish, you're ATVs, you're rough, you wrestle with brothers, you're just kind of you're a big reckless athlete, and it's always worked. Hey, don't do that. It's hard. I don't know if you can coach out of it, but it is interesting. You have to be special in this league at quarterback. We all know that. I'm not. This is not some revelation. And the Colts, I will defend them to the end. They had to get special at quarterback. You watched them with Phillip Rivers last year. You watched them with Jacoby Brissett. The roster is set, so they needed juice. And as you know, there's not a lot available. They probably kicked the tires on Sam Darnold, but Frank Reich had a relationship with Carson Wentz, so they brought him in. And I will defend it. But here's my takeaway. I saw a story this morning. Joy had reported this earlier. Carson Wentz has both ankles are hurt, and they're doing tests today. And a lot of this stuff, if you watch the game, it's just self-inflicted. He's just reckless. As I've said many times on this show, my agent always says this, employers make a decision on you about a year to 2 years before they announce it. And the Colts could get out of this contract with Wentz at the end of this year, and it wouldn't be a horrible cap hit. It'd be a cap hit like 15 million, but it wouldn't be horrible. But in 2 years, they can get out of it, and they're fine. I do think the Colts are looking at this, the preseason injury, this injury, his play, and I think deep down they would never acknowledge it because you got to keep the glue, you got to keep it together. But I think when you watch Carson Wentz play, my takeaway would be if I was Chris Ballard, I know I've got to move off this in 2 years. I can't live like this. I mean, first of all, Carson Wentz gives me anxiety to watch. I literally, it hurts. It's anxiety. And that's the first thing. The second thing is you can't go into seasons crossing your fingers your quarterback's healthy. So that's why it's really important. You can say, well, what about Lamar? Lamar Jackson doesn't get hurt. To this point, he doesn't get hurt. Some guys do. Lamar's thin. He doesn't get hurt. Russell Wilson doesn't get hurt. I mean, some guys they don't. Eli Manning. But I do think what Carson does, I think this just may be who he is. Remember this. Brett Favre never changed. To the very end, Brett Favre never, ever changed. And Brett's better than Carson Wentz. But Brett was always reckless. He'd been reckless for years. He'd been hit a lot. He knew the reckless nature of his play, lost him a lot of games. To the very end, he's thrown into the teeth of a defense with a lead. That's who Brett was. And by the way, it's what made Brett Brett. It's what, your greatest strength is often your greatest liability. You're confident, and then sometimes you're too confident. You're conceited. And I think with Brett Favre, it's just, he should have 2 more Super Bowls. But this is what Brett did. This is how he played. It's what made him an American icon. And I watch Carson Wentz, and I'm seeing guys getting coached out of reckless. It doesn't that. He's throwing the ball sideways, backwards. He's talented. I mean, there's a couple of things Wentz is that you can't deny. He's big, he's strong, he's talented, he's reckless, and he's injury prone. You can't deny his talent. His talent's on display. To support him here for a second, he's not getting the best offensive line play because the Colts offensive line right now is a mess physically. Quentin Nelson, who had to go up against Aaron Donald yesterday, he's been in and out. I think he finally put on a helmet at Friday at practice. So they've got all sorts of Eric Fisher. They didn't know if he was going to play up until game day. So he's not getting a ton of offensive line support, but it's concerning. I mean, I do feel like the Colts, when they get their O-line healthy, and it may be another month, and this is the one division in football, you cannot get your act together until mid-October. I mean, if you're in the NFC West or the AFC West, you don't have time. You got to win now. This division, you can kind of bounce around and not have it right. I do think the Colts, when they get the offensive line right, will win the division. But, you cross your fingers. Can we go another 4 weeks of Carson Wentz and this offensive line? My guess is no. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.